Right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Children. I hope you're safe and well. It's a bit of a cloudy day here in Surrey this morning, but I'm joined by someone who hopefully is going to brighten up my day. I'm joined by Philip Leslie, who's the acting head of production at ApiJect. And today we're going to continue our series with ApiJect looking at blow-fill seal, because I did one last month with Beth Totten on blow-fill seal if you missed it. So, Philip, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. The weather's not too good here in Melbourne either. It's middle of winter, so yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's funny, yeah, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. And what time is it in Melbourne right now?
6 p.m. Yes, so it's all gone dark. Yes, dear.
All right, well, thank you for joining me from Melbourne. It's lovely to see you. Before we start talking about blow-fill seal, could you give viewers a quick background of your own experiences and also about ApiJect as well?
Sure. So I'm Philip Leslie. I work for a company called ApiJect. So they're a technology company. So their technology is the use of blow-fill seal, especially in the preparation of pre-filled syringes. So blow-fill seal is a unique way of blowing polymer to form a bottle. You fill it, and then you seal it up all in a single operation. So you get little bottles like these sort of things out of the process. So they're based in the USA. I'm based here in Melbourne, but I help them with their launching of the products into the world. So a bit about me. I have worked for nearly 40 years with the pharmaceutical industry, both in the UK, mostly in Australia, and in New Zealand. And I spent the last 30 years of my sort of commercial life with GSA, GlaxoSmithKline here in Melbourne, their production facility, running various production departments, and then heading up the technology group, where we did the first vaccine in blow-fill seal. People using GSK's vaccine, we put the two parts together. It was a challenging thing because people said that a temperature-sensitive vaccine wouldn't be able to fill into a polymer, but we successfully did it, and we launched it onto the market. So it's been a big success of using blow-fill seal. So after I retired basically from GSK, I joined ApiJect as a bit of a helping hand to help them with their initiative, because I'm really interested in innovation, interruption, and yes, production processes. That's my sort of spiel on me.
Fantastic. Well, obviously you've got loads of experience, so a great person to talk about blow-fill seal. So let's start with the first question, which is how does BFS and pre-filled syringes contribute to supply chain resiliency?
So I'll take that in perhaps two parts. First of all, pre-filled syringes. I think they are really the main thing to do, because when you get to the sort of point of use, you really just want a single device. And you know, if you've got a glass vial and you've got to dilute it, you've got to find your diluent, you've got to find your syringe. Whereas a pre-filled syringe, it's all there, all ready to go. So it's you've got less likelihood of something being missing, and you've not got everything together to get the patient what they need. So in blow-fill seal, it's a similar thing. It's very good supply chain. You've just got the two raw materials. You've got the polymer, which makes the bottle, and you've got your product. So it leads to being very, very efficient in terms of not having interruptions with supply chain shortages or difficult issues with components and things like that. So when you put the two together of blow-fill seal and pre-filled syringes, you've got a very resilient supply chain.
Brilliant. And how does that impact in terms of the economies of scalability with BFS?
So once again, I mean, the beauty of blow-fill seal is that you can really ramp up the production. I've got a sort of strip of 25 ApiJect devices here. So you produce these in a few seconds. So a machine can easily, you know, produce 25,000 an hour. So you're really pumping out lots of product. And the other side of it is that obviously the machine is very capable of running 6 or 7 days a week, 24 hours a day without re-sterilizing and stopping. So you can really pump out a couple of million doses in a week. So that gives you well over 100 million a year. So you've really got the top end of the productivity scale. But if you really want to, you don't need all that. You can easily bring it back in two ways. So you can either, scale it down and just make one card at a time, or scale back your run hours of running and into a few weeks, a year, or perhaps just a single shift. But the basic process stays the same. So consequently, your validation and the regulatory people are very happy with that scalability. So it's a very great way from a production perspective of being able to ramp it up. If there was a big demand, say a pandemic, or bring it down if you've just got a small niche product that you need to make for someone.
Well, that's very much the trend at the moment, isn't it? Flexibility and having sort of modular production. And that's really the way forward,
Yes.
isn't it, for a lot of businesses, particularly since the vaccines came about.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right. So when we start looking at BFS containers, so what are the critical design factors around those?
So I think this is the interesting part that's really I get excited about with blow-fill seal, because you could talk about a container and generally you're there to control, hold the product, but BFS is much more than that, because you're injection molding and blow the container. You've got immense flexibility in the shape of the container, so it becomes more than a container. It becomes more towards the use a device. So you can have a couple of examples here. So the ApiJect one, which fits on and becomes a pre-filled syringe with a needle, or you can have a long necked one which you're taking because you want to introduce it into a baby's mouth, or into a small dropper which you want to do for an eye drop.
Sure.
Put it in your ear, or things. Or you can have other ones that have little twist off tops that fit on syringes, and you can easily transfer the liquid to it. So the design, the shape of the bottle is really driven both by convenience in terms of giving the patient or the user the ability to deliver the dose or the product to the patient very well, and also the shape of that gives you the chance to make sure you give the right dose, which is a key thing. And one of the other things that often happens with vaccines and things is the temperature,
Right.
storage. And so you can make them nest quite like that and make sure you get your space in your freezer small, because if you're in an emerging market, they've only got a small refrigerator. Sure. And they don't want big boxes of bottles and things. So you can design the bottle or the shape of the container to fit the requirements of what you're trying to do, and that's the exciting part. So it can be the delivery side, the storage side, or just the the shape of it. It can be your Coke bottle. You want to be a corporate identity. You want to know that that's definitely an ApiJect device or things like that. So everybody knows that, and you can patent that, and nobody can really copy that thing. And that you're getting a genuine ApiJect product.
And so, I mean, you mentioned about the scale up and the scale down. So does that mean that because you've got this flexibility in terms of design, you can sort of mix and match production lines in terms of doing something in one particular design and then switching over the production line and doing a different design, like almost like changing the molds? I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but the molds for the containers can be switched around on the same production line quite easily.
Yes. So the answer to that is yes and no. So the big machines, the ones that you're going to get large volumes,
sure, have
large sets of molds, and they tend to be, designed to really thump it out. And so they're really your engine room and that type of thing. But if you're wanting a smaller volume, then you can have a set of molds that you can change over, just as you say, and change the shape, change the product, change the fill, change the number of doses in it, quite simply by changing the molds. And you can do that in a shift or so to change over. So very much so, some machines are built there for high speed, really pumping it out, and that's the way to do it. And then some machines are smaller, more flexible, and allowing you to change the shape of what you're making on a daily basis, really, almost.
Right. Yeah. Well, that leads nicely actually to my next question, which is, what are the challenges in terms of BFS manufacturing?
Yeah, perhaps I could turn that around and say, what are the advantages of it?
Right.
The real advantage, of course, is that we're talking about sterile filling here. And so we're trying to ensure that we have a very sure, sterility assurance of the product.
Yeah.
So in the rotary machines which produce these, the filling process is actually done inside the plastic mold, the parachute. So it's not open to the air. And so you don't have open filling bottles and the chance for, particles or things to get in there. So, and these particles are obviously the source of contamination and issues with your sterility. So you have a very high assurance of sterility with blow-fill seal compared to other more conventional filling bottles and vials and things which are in open areas. The other thing about it is those machines are actually, well, the machine that produces this is actually quite a small footprint. It's only 60 or 70 square meters, and only half of that would be actually your clean room. So it's quite compact. It's quite lower cost to run because your air conditioning and those costs are reduced because you're air conditioning certain spaces. And the people don't need to go near it. It runs very well, and you just sort of hands off, mum, let it run, And they're outside, a white coat, making the adjustments. So as we all know, the most highest chance of contamination is from us, the people going in to interfere with the machine. So the blow-fill seal process is, as you say, sort of hands off, mum, and therefore, you get high output and efficiency and sterility. So along with the bottle shape of design, I think it's a great way to fill liquids, creams, ointments, suspensions, all sorts of different things that you can do with blow-fill seal. Yeah.
Right. Well, fantastic. So my final question, though, and you may have touched on it already in your previous answer, is how does a BFS, take care of the drug during the manufacturing process?
Yes, I think it's sort of been covered in that other point. I think it's really what the US FDA call advanced aseptic processing,
Right.
because it really does give you great assurance of sterility. And I think also it's a very accurate way of dosing products. The fill systems are very precise. So, you're taking, great care of what you're making for the patient. And the patient is the end of the supply chain, and they're the most important part of the whole process, really. So, yes, I think it's a great process with, thousands of blow-fill seal machines around the world producing millions of doses. It has a very high level of productivity and assurance. And, we're giving the patient a product that they feel comfortable in taking.
Brilliant. Well, I don't have any other questions at the moment because I know you've got other things to do. It's getting late in the evening for you, so we won't carry on this. But I'm sure there's lots of questions people have for you. But my final question is, where can people get more information if they want to know more about BFS?
So I really suggest to go to the ApiJect website. It's a great source of information. There's information on blow-fill seal. There's papers on the applications of it. There's a lot of there's an animation of the blow-fill of the ApiJect syringe, how it works, and lots of other things there. So it's a bit of a Google of blow-fill seal and pre-filled injections. So yes, it's certainly worth a visit.
Brilliant. Well, all that's let me say is, Philip, I hope you enjoyed the rest of your evening in Melbourne, and I hope the sun does shine. I'm sure it will shine even though it's winter. I mean, come on, everybody goes over to Australia during this time of year because it's always sunny. So I hope you have a lovely summer anyway, and I hope the sun shines. And thank you very much for sharing the information. If people have got any questions for Philip, please check out the website. The link will be above the video, but also you're quite welcome to send Philip any questions and leave them below the video itself as comments, or send him a message on LinkedIn. I'm sure Philip will be happy to answer them. So Philip, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the day, my friend, and thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you found that useful. It's a really interesting and fascinating topic. So please check out the details above the ApiJect on the ApiJect website, and also leave Philip any questions if you have. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.